New York City was never meant to sleep, and its architecture tells that truth better than any history book ever could. Long before the steel towers clawed at the sky, before the glow of office windows replaced the stars, the land itself already carried layers of ambition, fear, and quiet ambition buried beneath its soil. The earliest structures were not built to inspire, but to survive rough wooden homes clinging to the edge of a wild island, surrounded by mist, marshland, and the uneasy awareness that the ground itself could swallow what humans dared to place upon it. Even then, the city learned its first lesson. To exist here, you must build upward or be erased. As the centuries turned, New York became obsessed with height, power, and permanence. Stone replaced wood, brick replaced stone, iron replaced everything. Churches rose with sharp spires that pointed not just toward heaven, but toward dominance. The early skyscrapers did not simply compete for sunlight. They competed for immortality. Each new tower was an act of defiance against time, gravity, and mortality itself. The city's skyline became a forest of ambitions, each building whispering, "Remember me," long after the people who built it turned to dust beneath the streets. But beneath this vertical ambition lies something far less visible and far more unsettling. The foundations of New York rest on layered histories, buried neighborhoods, forgotten cemeteries, sealed tunnels, and abandoned stations that still echo with the idea of movement. The city is not built on land alone, but on memory. Some buildings stand atop former hospitals where thousands died in silence. Others rise from ground that once held prisons, asylums, or quarantine zones, where fear was thicker than the air itself. Architecture here does not erase the past, it compresses it. Walk through Manhattan at night, and the buildings no longer look like achievements, they loom. Glass reflects shadows that don't quite belong to anyone passing by. Windows resemble watching eyes. Old Art Deco towers, once symbols of optimism and technological triumph, now feel like monuments to ambition pushed too far. Their geometric lines and sharp angles feel less like design and more like warning signs, reminders of an era that believed humanity could outbuild consequence. Even modern architecture carries this weight. Steel and glass towers rise, sleek and silent, pretending to be clean, minimal, and rational. Yet they sit on histories filled with displacement, erased neighborhoods, and lives traded for progress. The city grows upward, but never outward from its past. It stacks new stories on top of old pain, sealing them in concrete and calling it development. New York's architecture is not just about buildings. It is about power, survival, and the human refusal to accept limits. Every structure is a negotiation between fear and ambition, between memory and forgetting. And when the streets empty at night, when the city finally quiets, those buildings seem less like shelter and more like witnesses watching, remembering, and waiting. Because in New York, architecture doesn't just tell a story, it remembers everything.